out around I knew.
Doki.
A constant mentality. Oh, out of line of what I've been through. Whoa, that's reality. Change my personality, break from the weakest, waking up each and every day. I don't either, but I'm in the deepest, making up my ends. I got some beats that you can borrow and some cash that I can lend. Help in the world. All you need is some friends. Think it out. All these ways that you can be persistent, consistent, willing to go the distance in an instant. Give it all, love it all of your potential. Now I'm laying down tracks, used to work at cash with rental. Better listen up because this shit right here is essential. Found my point just by sharpening a pencil. I think I'm going mental in the central anatomy.
Why you always make cold-headed set feet? Realizing my criminal ways are not the way to get paid.
And waking up to a fresh house each and every day.
I've never been in jail and that's the way it's gonna stay. Hold on to my hopes and I feel like I gotta pray. Under them spells he keeps on raising up hell. Drug addict, anybody met him couldn't tell.
It's a sad fact, anybody better could have fell.
I'd rather dwell on the streets
Than in a cell. A lot of help in the world, but there ain't no one to ask for. People always needing money, saying rich but act poor. What the fuck is that for? A government so ignorant, but dominant and confident that I'll be living prominent. The tracks are equal, here's the sequel. Never will I touch a needle. If I do, I'll probably lose my opportunity to choose. One would think it's better to stay true to what I do. I keep on doing what I do. It's time to bring them something new. I need a herbal medication when I'm blue. I bring a verbal penetration to every station you listen to.
Listen up,
Cause I ain't through,
listen.
I ain't tired. How about you? Words of wisdom stuck in my brain like glue.
I've never been in jail and that's the way it's gonna stay. I hold on to my hopes and I feel like I gotta pray.
Oh, he's under them spells. He keeps on raising up hell. He's a drug addict. Anybody made him could have tell. Think about what's new. A constant mentality. That's reality.
Doki. From lyrics that I had from a long I wrote 10 plus years ago. So we got our updated version of the guild orders, and we're gonna go next.
All
So
right,
tomorrow I
clean
get
state
Codex.
recap. No fluff. Where we are. Guild orders upgraded to Rev 9. Dungeon 6 fully locked. Overlay lifecycle. Attendees as mentions all. Session rename semantics. Active overlay only. No transcript mutation. Draft shot updated properly. Rev 2 append only. No quest generated yet. No execution started. We stopped right after sealing Dungeon 6, so yes, next logical step is Dungeon 7. Next up, Dungeon 7. Formalization engine. This is the heavy one. Template governed structure. Retention knob actually shaping output. Annotated segments passed to LLM. Evidence map discipline. No transcript stuffing fallback garbage. We haven't quoted it yet in this session. If you're ready, I'll 1 quote Dungeon 7 verbatim from Rev 9. 2, then we interrogate it line by line like we did D6. 3, tighten it so Codex can't interpret sideways. 4, then update guild orders again before moving on. You rested, brain fresh, ready to go brutal on D7.
Okay. Yes, I am. And yeah, at the end of updating D7, that last one drop there, and patch draft shot Rev 1 to Rev 2, and well, no, I'm sorry, draft shot 2026 0225, the control sync Rev 2, and we'll take that exact one. Likes to bite me. So I'm looking at number 7 right here, but so I don't really, you can hear verbatim right at it. So I'd like to know the parts that you're talking. We'll just do it for Dungeon 7 now, and I have a copy I can also. Chat already getting lag. I hate how these chats get laggy. See, they really have to do better at making apps. Have like did that off of this.
Fuck yes. And yup, after we finished tightening Dungeon 7 in guild orders, We append the draft shot again, append only onto draft shot 2026-0225, control sync rev 2 becomes a 3. No rewriting history. Dungeon 7, verbatim from rev 9, so we're both staring at the exact same text. You can see the code in our conversation history. Now, Dungeon 7 interrogation, same style as D6. I'm going to point at the exact lines that can still be interpreted wrong and ask you the minimum questions to lock them. A. Loss minimized restructuring versus summary. This is the core. Users say summarize, but you mean structured minutes that still preserve truth. Lock question number 1. When retention is low, med, high, do you want the output to always include these section types, even if empty? Decisions, action items, risks, open questions, agenda topics, notes, or should sections disappear if empty? Pick 1. A1, fixed section scaffold, empty allowed. A2, only includes sections with content. B, annotated transcript segments. Define the canonical unit. We need segment ID to mean something deterministic. Lock question number 2. What is the transcript segmentation primitive in your head? B1 already exists as segments from diarization, preferred. B2, we create segments by time window, e.g. 10 to 20s chunks. B3, segments are speaker turns. Each change of speaker equals new segment. If you don't care, my default is B3 because it's human aligned. Number C, evidence map strictness, chat truth discipline. You want no hallucinations. Evidence map is enforcement. Lock question number 3. For low retention, do you still want citations for decisions, action items, claims of fact, even if that makes low slightly less pretty? Yes, no. D, template content must shape the prompt. This is a common failure mode. Provider prompt ignores template text. Lock question number 4. Should template text be passed to the LLM as D1, literal full template markdown, best for fill this exact structure? D2, past schema sections derived from the template, safer but more work. D3, both, schema, raw template. My default is D3 long-term, but for MVP, D1 is simplest. Attree output artifacts list includes JSON MD PDF. PDF generation can be flaky early. Lock question number 5. For D7 MVP, is PDF required or optional? E1, required. Meetings journal must produce PDF. D2, optional in D7, but required by D8 or D12. F, deletion semantics. You told me earlier you want deletion so users can correct mapping and rerun. Lock question number 6. When a user deletes a formalization, do we delete only the formalization outputs, JSON, MD, evidence map / usage receipt, but keep transcript versions? Yes, no. Obvious answer is yes, but I'm locking it. Nub G, retention knob also affects chat responses. Right now, D7 scopes it to formalization only. Lock question number 7. In D7, retention applies to formalization outputs only, not chat. Chat retention is later, D10. Agree? Yes, no, answer those 7 and D7 becomes quest ready without Codex guessing what formalization means. And yeah, after we patch guild orders for D7, we append draft shot rev 3 exactly as you said. Append only onto that rev 2 file.
Okay, so for A, loss minimized restructuring for summary. Right now, I think when the formalization comes out, it still shows like no decisions, stuff like that, or risks. Like, we don't need that stuff inside there. That's the thing, is like we're getting into an area with that now where it's like, I don't think the default version should have that. Or I don't know if it should. Because I'm starting to think like it is definitely more deterministic if you do that, but it's less pretty. But then there might be some companies or people like would still want like something there, but to say like the word none, or right? I don't know if we should include that for now. It's always something we can change and work on later, because I think that's more of like a design. I think it's more of like a design question later on that you kind of like pretty and polish up later. I think for now we'll just have them disappear or empty. And only include sections with content. But I think with that, it comes with like trying to have to make a template. Because what you just listed off, those 6 bullet points, seem like partial template for formalization. You have the option whether to show sections of a formalization template or not. I think that would be the best bet, actually, is to have the option to show sections of a template or not show them. That would be the best. That's my decision. Moving on to number B, letter B. Segments need to remain as speaker turns. We just need to remember to dial it in so that way if a speaker does butt in for a moment and says just a couple of words, then we need to make sure when we do our smoothing and stuff later that gets included, right? But that's where it'll separate. It'll have like, say it's like Peter talking, and then John just butts in and says, I agree. And then it goes back to Peter continuing, right? If I'm talking again. And that's like, I don't know what you mean essentially by when you say segmentation, like specifically what you mean. I have an idea, but be how I want it is I want it to obviously be like speaker 00, they're talking, and then speaker 01, they're talking, and then speaker 00 is talking again, then speaker 04 is talking, right? So it would just be like saying the speaker, what they're saying, then the next speaker and what they're saying, then the next speaker and what they're saying, and it doesn't change speakers or sections or anything if it's still one speaker ongoing for a long period of time. Now C, the evidence map strictness. I do not know if we do citations for retention knob low. I think citations in general will be another option that we decide to turn on or off for formalization. That's another thing we need to do, to have as an option for to include the citations or to not include citations. Because when I'm thinking of a retention knob for like low, medium, or high, I'm thinking of like same kind of content, but pushed down a little more. So the retention knob for like low would be like, you know, the main important things, bullet points of stuff. It pretty much would be a summarization, right? That would be low, right? And that would kind of be the bracket we'd have to put there of like how we have a near verbatim, we would have to put in brackets for like the low one, like summarized, right? Medium would just be kind of taking that context of everything and ensuring that we do preserve mostly everything, right? Like we have to be detailed in what we're saying a little more. High, you're going to be heavily detailed, and then obviously near verbatim is going to, like near verbatim is going to definitely include but that's also for like another selection for template selection, right? Like some templates won't need citations. I guess, yeah, I guess you can have that on for every template. You can decide whether you're going to, but I think you should be able to decide that. And for D, yes, template content must shape the prompt. But I don't know what you mean by D2 in that parsed schema / sections derived from the template. I think D3 would be the best. Because a template's gonna have like the way that you want that formalization structured. So if you are a company or business already, or just a, you know, have a team or something like that, and you have a specific way that you structure all the information from meeting, you have certain logs that you fill out, and you want these logs filled out, then you can have the template so then it fills out those logs exactly, right, with that information from that meeting that it gathers, but then also additional stuff as well if you want to add on, right? Like, I want to be able to make it so then Stuart can look at these templates and stuff and see the content from over a couple of weeks or so, and then discuss with Stuart like improving your templates, right? And he could say like, well, you have this consistently discussed some kind of decisions on something on X or right? And or you guys kind of always talk about whatever. Maybe consider adding this template brought up. So the template can be edited in that way, right? But that would have to go into like an edit. But I think it should be like, for the default one we're making, at least to go by, I think it should be D3, like you're saying, both schema and raw template. But the template should also have a section 2 that can kind of like summarize up some other part of the template. Summarize up. I think we need to go for the PDF. Like, I think it needs to kind of be like a decision on how you want to download that artifact, whether you want it as a PDF, whether you want it as an MD or a JSON or a text file, right? Or if you just want to download a bundle like that. I mean, most people deal in a PDF and would prefer a PDF. So I'd prefer to have that. We'll just have to ensure that we are deciding the size of the font and the and the font itself and stuff like that, right? So that way it can actually look. PDF is required. Yes, for deleting number for F that you said, yes, like delete the formalization, you keep transcript, app stuff like that. And I don't know what you mean for G, for the retention knob affecting the chat responses. Do you mean for querying information? I don't think we should apply it to that at all. I think that should just kind of be figured out by deciding how much the person wants to kind of investigate something I'm talking about, have it elaborated, right? The same way that when I talk to you, sometimes you give me short responses and sometimes you don't, and I can just ask you to give me fine, right? And I think that someone's asking a specific about something, like how many meetings was Greg at, you can give a specific short answer back. You don't need to give like shitload of information. And then sometimes they're asking to have things elaborated on. Like, what would be, like, if they said, what do you think we should have done for this? That's inviting Stuart open up and bring his opinion in, which he should be able to elaborate in a scope, right? And then maybe even say, like, we can decide how he says the thing. And then we play around with it from there. Pretty much the same way as your earlier point of question number 1. That's something we can essentially play around with once we have the plumbing in place, right? Get the basics there. And as we experiment later on, when we have the polish, we're ready to kind of make it more, feel it out, have more people try it out. That's all I have to say for those questions. I don't really want you to do the absolute minimum for clarification on this. If you clarification, I want you to have to.
All right, I got you. And yeah, we keep it minimum, but there are a few spots where your answer implies new knobs that must be locked or Codex will guess and fuck it. What I heard you lock for Dungeon 7 so far. A. Sections. Default behavior. Sections only appear if they have content. No none blocks. But you want an option to show empty sections later. So D7 needs a template class renderer option like show empty sections, true false, default false. B. Segments. Segmentation unit equals speaker turns, speaker 0 talks, speaker 1 talks, speaker 0 talks again, etc. No time window chunking, no forced splits for long monologues. Nash C. Citations evidence map. You do not want citations to be forced by retention levels. You want citations as an option, likely per template run. You still want no hallucinations truth discipline. This implies evidence map always generated, but citations may be hidden in the rendered doc depending on a toggle. D. Template shaping. You want D3 both schema plus raw template. You want a catch-all notes section for content that doesn't fit template nicely, unless template says otherwise. E. PDF. PDF is required in D7. Font polish can be later, but PDF output must exist now. F. Deletion. You want users able to delete a formalization and rerun after corrections, but we need to lock exactly what gets deleted. G. Retention doesn't affect chat. Agree. Retention knob is for formalization only. Chat verbosity can be natural, Slater tuning. The 5 clarifications we must lock, yes, no, or pick one. 1. Empty section visibility toggle. Where does it live? Pick one. 1A per template setting, saved in template metadata. 1B per run UI toggle. User chooses each run. 1C, both. Template default plus UI override. My recommendation, 1C, template default UI override. Number 2.
Section. Okay, where does it? Go with 1C. Toggle. A per template setting. Place define. Per run. With 2C. Map generate. Map always generate. Or the evidence map only generated when citations. As for number 3, I don't even really think that evidence maps are very... I think it's more for the AI to know how to properly generate the formalizations. And right now they're shown in the UI, but it's just a bunch of like JSON looking jargon. It's not really something that a user... The only way that I'm using it right now in the UI is to look at for myself as a developer. Honestly, no one else is going to give a shit about it. And I don't think it's really that important. I think it should kind of, that toggle eventually, I'm just going to get rid of that tab. I don't think it's something that I'm going to ship product. And it's probably going to be something that's going to be like a little mini box at the bottom somewhere. Back on. Have at the front and front and center. And I don't think it's something that you're really gonna bother like packaging and when they exported. The zip should really just contain the transcripts and the normalizations of a session. And yeah, when it comes to deleting, you should be able to choose, like, do you want to delete the session? If you delete the session, everything in that whole session gets deleted. You get, like, the overlays, the receipts, the evidence map, the formalization, everything in that session that's part of that session, that came from that session, gets deleted. If you choose to delete a particular transcript, that transcript gets deleted. That particular transcript. If you did a run, because a diarization and like evidence maps and shit like that don't get generated unless you run a formalization. So those things are tied to a specific formalization run, and anything tied to that formalization run will get deleted. It's the run that you're deleting, right? Like I just said a second ago, that the user doesn't give a shit about the JSON and the usage receipt or the evidence map or whatever. They don't see that shit. That's for the AI and for us, right? To know that the properly, and the AI to use as nation rejection, right? So the thing that when you say JSON, when you say MD and PDF to the user, those are still two of the same things, because the MD and the PDF, they're just different different types of documents for the same thing, for the same formalization or the same transcript. A transcript should be able to be downloaded in a MD, a text file, or a PDF. And the same with a formalization, which is the formalization is not all a bunch of documents. It's the one document that is taking that transcript and then using those things like evidence maps and stuff like that we have, so you can make I'm using a template to properly make it so that way the formalization is accurate, right? But there's different delete buttons, right? There would be one for transcripts, there's ones for a session, and there's ones for formalizations. And an overlay, yes, you should be able to obviously just type a person's name into like speaker 00. Beside that has where you put the name. You type in Peter and then you press the save button, and then it applies to that transcript that you were currently selecting, and then which doesn't change any previous formalizations that were done with that old setting. You would have to delete those ones if you want to get rid of them. But after they type my name in and then save, there would be a little X beside the name if you want to just clear it, or a little clear button or something if you want to just clear the name, right? Or maybe we just do it even simpler than that. You just, actually, this is what we'll do. We'll just make it so you just press back on the name, you erase the name, you press save. Because the way that I wanted it set up already is that when you type in the name and press save, the name stays there. Right now, it's when you press save, the name disappears. And then you don't know which one is set for that speaker. You only know when you press transcribe or formalize, and that doesn't work. You need to have it so you know what name is going to be there when you press that button already. Transcribe or formalize. And then if you want to get rid of it, just click on the name, press back till it's gone, and then press the save button again, right? And then it'll change the play for the next formalization or transcription. And to number 5, yes, 100%.
Fuck yeah, this is the exact kind of real product brain feedback that prevents us from shipping dev jargon garbage. You locked these for Dungeon 7. 1C, show empty sections equals template default UI override. 2C, citations toggle as template defaults UI override. Template shaping D3, schema raw template. PDF required. Default template has a catch-all additional notes section. Retention does not affect chat. Deletion is tiered. Session, transcript, flat. Formalization run. Now the only thing that's still ambiguous, and Codex will guess wrong if we don't lock it, is your evidence map, receipt/deletion cascade model. The 3 locks we still need, minimum. 1 evidence map generation, always or only sometimes. You said users don't give a shit, agreed, but we still need it for truth discipline and dev debugging. Pick one. 1A, evidence map is always generated for every formalization run, but hidden from normal users, dev-only UI, and excluded from normal exports. 1B, evidence map is generated only when citations are enabled. 1C, evidence map is generated only in developer mode. My recommendation, 1A, keeps hallucination rejection intact without annoying users. 2, export bundle contents, normal user export. You said exports should basically be transcripts plus formalizations. Cool. Lock it. Pick one. 2A. Normal export includes transcript MDTF plus formalization PDF session metadata. No evidence usage receipts. Nashed 2B. Normal export includes those plus evidence map plus usage receipts. Mine C. 2 export types. User export A and dev export B. Recommendation 2C. 3. Delete transcript. What happens to dependent formalizations? If a transcript version is deleted, formalizations that were generated from it become orphaned. Pick one. 3A. Deleting a transcript version also deletes all formalizations derived from it. Minor 3B. Deleting a transcript version blocks, archives, dependent formalizations. They remain but marked invalid unviewable unless transcript restored. 3C. Transcript deletion is disallowed if dependent formalizations exist. Must delete those first. Recommendation 3A, simple, deterministic. Once you answer those 3, I will 1. Patch guild orders Rev 9, Rev 10 with the full Dungeon 7 lock-ins, exactly like we did for D6. 2. Then append the draft shot, Rev 2, Rev 3, append only, verbatim prior content plus new delta. Hit me with 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 3C.
They try to delete a transcript, it should give a little warning thing saying like unable to delete transcript as it's connected to such and such for like A, B, and Z formalizations. Or give them the option to delete it and actually just make it have a warning sign pop up the same way that we have this warning sign that pops up if you go into like cloud mode or whatever and you press like transcribe. A little warning sign was popping up that was saying like, warning, your stuff's gonna leave the computer if you press this. We can't guarantee, you know, like safety of stored information and stuff. A little thing should pop up that looks the same as that one, so it fits the UI and stuff, that says like warning, if you delete this transcript, all formalizations created or tied to this transcript will be deleted as well. And then it has to also give the IDs or the titles of those formalizations.
Fuck yes. Locked. D7 locks you just set. Evidence map 1A always generated dev facing excluded from normal exports. Exports 2C, user export versus dev export, and user can choose PDF MD TXT. Transcript delete, you chose 3C with a warning modal that offers cascade delete. Functionally, this becomes 3C plus optional 3A via confirm. That's deterministic enough for codecs. What I'm doing now, control sync spec work, no code. 1. Patch guild orders Rev E9, Rev 10 with all Dungeon 7 clarifications. Show empty sections option, template default plus UI override. Citations option, template default plus UI override. Evidence map always generated but hidden from normal users. User export versus dev export plus format picker. Deletion model, session transcript formalization run. Plus warning modal plus listing impacted formalization titles IDs. Segment primitive equals speaker turns. Template shaping equals D3. Schema plus raw template. PDF required. Append draft shot Rev Eve2, Rev 3. Append only with this D7 tightening. Download updated artifacts. Guild orders Rev 10, please open your app to see this link. Patch Rev 9, Rev 10, please open your app to see this link. Draft shot Rev 3, append only, please open your app to see this link. Patch draft shot Rev 2, Rev 3, please open your app to see this link. Files referenced, /metadatas guild orders Stewart Architecture Transcendence Protocol Core 2026-225 Rev 9.tx. /data draft shot 2026-0225 control sync rev2.txt. Receipts. Lana data patch guild orders Rev 9 to Rev 10 2026-0225 patch. Lana data patch draft shot Rev 2 to Rev 3 2026-0227 patch. Applied.
I uh probably convert a lot of that. Convert those. But X is just gonna